Salut, c'est Marie de Just French It. Welcome back, and we are coming back to this Just French It podcast with an important question. Is French worth learning? Or should you learn French over Spanish, or Japanese instead, or Russian, or whatever? You know, those languages debates. Is Spanish better than French? Bref, today I'm telling you if French is worth learning or not, and I bet actually my answer is going to surprise you. Before though, if you are indeed already convinced that French is worth learning, you don't need to listen to this, and you can click on the link in the description of this podcast to take your French to the next level with me. So is French worth learning? The short answer is obviously yes. A longer kind of answer probably would be along the line of any language is worth learning, and my personal answer is that it depends. Because there are many good reasons to learn French, but there are also plenty of bad ones. There are also plenty of good reasons not to learn French. You guessed it, French is worth learning when there's something in it for you. If you want to learn French, then it's going to be worth it. Then it's going to be worth it if you want to learn French, obviously. If you want to learn French, then don't learn French because it's not going to be worth it. Now, speaking French is not a survival skill. You can totally do without it. It probably won't save you from anything remotely dangerous. You know, in the worst case scenario, you can totally travel even to France or French-speaking countries and be okay without speaking French. There are other ways to communicate than language. It's going to be awkward, maybe, but nobody ever died from embarrassment, so you're safe. Plus, if your goal is only to say a few sentences in French, if you just want to travel and say a few sentences in French because you think that you need that to be understood, but that in the end you don't really care about really communicating and that you don't care about making mistakes and you don't care about anything, then you know there's this thing called Google Translate, and it does that, just that. It does that. It's perfect for that. And automatic translators are getting better and better. So if you are not interested in speaking French, but that you think you need it to, do X kind of things, well, not X kind of things, all kinds of things. You know what I mean? Well, the automatic translators are, for you, probably what is the best thing to look at. Yes, automatic translators are not perfect. They might get it wrong on some long sentences. And yes, they are not either dictionaries, and they will not help you learn much, although that's debatable. But really, if you just want to ask where the toilets are, Google Translate is more than good enough. And, if we're looking at it, let's take a look at it from a statistical point of view, actually. French is not, in this case, your best option. There are languages that are spoken by more people around the world. And French is not going to suddenly become the international language and replace English. That's actually a big myth. A myth some kind of purists of the French language are trying to spread. And even if, with some kind of miracle, French was to surpass English as an international language, it won't be tomorrow. And probably in this case, because it won't be tomorrow, it won't be the French that you are learning right now, because languages evolve. Another good reason not to learn French is that French people suck. If you think that French people suck anyway. Because even amongst the language communities, people who are learning languages because they like it, because they use them, because they like to meet new people from all over the world this way, well, there are some really stupid stereotypes still there. And I'm not, one that gets to me is the amount of times someone who's learning French, maybe since a long time already, assumed that I was from Paris. I completely hate it and makes me cringe when people assume I'm French, so I'm from the only city that they know in France, even though they are learning French since a long time. If you are not ready to work beyond your stereotypes and that you are learning French because Paris, Well, probably you are not really interested in French and the French people, and you won't accept that your idea of France is different from reality. In this case, you should keep on watching the few French movies that romanticize France. You should keep on dreaming about this. You maybe go to Paris one day, but learning French is going to be very frustrating for you. And you probably, in this case, won't be worth it. Now, at this point of the podcast, if you're still here, you might be starting to wonder why on earth is this girl running a podcast called Just French It and is giving me reasons not to learn French. Shouldn't my role be to inspire you to learn French? Well, it is, but it's also my role to be real with you. I don't want you to be disappointed. It breaks my heart if you're going to be disappointed. I don't want you to learn French for the wrong reasons. Hell, I don't want anyone to be forced to learn languages when they don't want to, because that makes millions of people completely traumatized by language learning. Talk about that with the French. But if you're here right now, still listening to this, it's because there's something more. If you are drawn to French, if it sounds good, if you'd like nothing more than to be able to say those words, to make those sounds rolling in your mouth, if you want to be super specific, if you are curious about French people, why they are the way they are, their culture, if you enjoy a wide range of French movies, you want to know more about those things, to understand them deeper, if you'd like to know about French food, French politics, French anything, and if you'd like to experience France, Paris maybe, but other cities as well, not as a tourist, but as someone from the inside, as, experience it, French and France, then you are in it for the good reasons. In this case, French is definitely worth learning. Now, what you need to do right now, if you are still listening to me, is you need to click on a link in the description of this podcast, and we'll take your French to the next level together. I'll see you there.